Hi, welcome to my latest video. Today I'm going to do a mid-year channel update. Pit Lane Kitty's out here. She's going to help me do this. I've got my notes here. I'm going to try and remember my lines, and I'm going to try and do this in one take with no stumbling, no umming and ahhing, no editing to chop out bits that aren't right. I'm just going to try and talk, and I'm going to try and talk quickly. The last update I did was New Year's Eve, well, the stroke of midnight. It was literally 0 hour, January the 1st, and I dropped that and it was about an hour long. Apologies for anybody who was trying to get to bed after the New Year festivities. You had another hour to stay up and watch my video. So this one is going to be a bit shorter, hopefully. So I'm going to stop waffling and I'm going to dive into my list. First things first, the weather. Okay, so it is the end of July here in the UK. June was the hottest, driest June on record, I think. Last summer was the hottest and driest summer on record, I think. And this July has been awful, really awful. Whilst it's been like 40 to 50 degrees in Italy and Greece and the Mediterranean, we've been on the other side of the jet stream here. So we've had rain and wind and just low pressure, really just a washout. July has just been like one of the wettest Julys ever. So it was raining earlier, it's now dry, there's almost a little bit of blue sky out there, so I thought I'd come out here. I've got my wheelbarrow and I've carted some things round to the front to lay those out next to my car. I've got some bits and bobs here that I'm going to talk about, and we've also got some things in the boot. Okay, so this is not my shopping, this is all of my Webasto things in here. There's fuel pumps, there's air filters, there's some dodgy welding and Mr. Muscle there, and loads of tech here. Okay, so this is sort of, well, not the hoses, but these things are all kind of like electronic goodies that I bought. I'm going to be talking through those. So let's have a quick look. I talked about the weather. That's what all British people like to talk about. And let's talk about shows. Okay, so I was at Bewley a couple of weeks ago. I haven't done a video for about 2 months. I uploaded a video the other night on, last night actually, on lana guarding, and a video on the key fob battery replacement a week before that, but those were filmed last year. I think that the lana guard was last October, the key fob was around Christmas or January, and I've uploaded that. I haven't actually filmed any new footage for about 2 months, and that mostly because of the weather, because it's been awful. It's just not been good weather for filming. Pit Lane Kitty said she's not coming out in the rain, it's just too cold and wet. So the other reason is I've been at a lot of shows recently. So I was at the Gaydon show and the Bewley show. I was there with the 4x4 response. I put up a couple of pictures now. Thank you to all of you who came up and said hello. I put a lot of faces to names. I met the Frenchies Road Trip guys that do the YouTubes, that Scott and Alana, another Scott, not me, the other Scott, and his other half Alana. Met them, and they are very keen YouTubers as well. Thanks to Scott and Alana for disguising my face when you showed the footage of me. Unfortunately, Frenchies Road Trip didn't do that, so if you want to see what I look like in real life, go and look at their video. They actually came up and sort of chatted to me and left the camera rolling. I didn't realise they were really doing that, so never mind. I'd only eaten 3 bacon sandwiches just beforehand, so yeah, could have held my stomach in a little bit, but never mind. I've reached that age. So Gaydon, Bewley, yeah, really good shows, really nice to see everyone. And before that, I was working on my Webasto heater. So the Webasto is in there. It's in there. It's been bolted onto the car. It's been on there a little while now, a couple of months. It isn't working. I need to connect it up. In here, you can see the air filter that goes to the Webasto. There's also a fuel line here which needs connecting into the fuel, and there's an exhaust, and there's a whole load of electrical connections, electronics. There's so much electronics and that I need to put all that in a box and then kind of cable it all up. Okay, so I will be working on that. I'll be working on that in the autumn probably. I need to get it working before the weather gets cold. You know, around sort of October time, might even see a frosty morning then, so that is really when I need that Webasto working. Last winter, I had a lot of trouble starting this car. It just would not start when the temperature was -5 or lower, and I diagnosed that all 4 of my glow plugs have gone, so I need to change those as well. Having the Webasto would really help, because that would sort of warm the car up, so it doesn't actually need the glow plugs, but I really need to do both. Okay, so I need to get the Webasto working, I need to get the glow plugs working. Those will be projects for the autumn. So lately, bit of expenditure. I do all work myself on this car, but the clutch started slipping recently. So I had to put it into the garage for that. It was just too big a job to do myself. I'm not going to do that out here in the car park. My neighbours just, I don't think would like that. Really, it's bad enough with all this junk lying around. So I put it into garage. I needed the car urgently because I had to drive down to Cornwall for a camping trip, and I had no choice but to just spend the money and get that done. So new clutch went in. Hang on, I'm not going to stop filming. We've got a Chinook flying over, a bit noisy. Where is it? Where is it? There it is. There it is. Let's zoom in on that. Yeah. So it is the cadet training camp nearby. So if you ever hear gunfire in my videos, it's not because I'm filming in a war-torn region. It is because the cadets are doing their kind of firing exercises nearby. Okay, so nothing to be alarmed about. Even Pitland Kitty, she doesn't even bat an eyelid really. All that sort of bangs and that. So she doesn't like fireworks though. She doesn't like them at all, or lightning. But army training is fine. So yeah, so the clutch, had the clutch done, £1,300. Ouch, ouch. So I knew a big bill was coming sooner or later. When they took the clutch off, it was a major job. You know, you got to take off the wheel, the hub carrier, the whole lot. You split the ball joints, the whole lot comes off. Drive shaft out. The transfer box, I think, also needed moving because it's very difficult kind of lining everything up when you put it back on if the transfer box is in place. So all of that gearbox and everything had to come off. And they actually found that the friction plate in the clutch actually had a little bit of life left in it. It would have needed doing sooner or later anyway, but the main cause of the slippage was actually oil had got through the seal behind the flywheel. Okay, so the seal was perished on its last leg, so nothing bad had gone on with sort of crankcase pressure or anything like that. But it sort of was a little reminder to me that I do need to empty my catch can regularly, because if that fills up, that could sort of back up the pressure. I'm going to be changing over to this big catch can at some point soon. It's a much better, nicer one. It's got a sort of stainless gauze inside, and it's even got a drain at the bottom to drain off any sludge that kind of forms in there. Catch can, a few people have said over the years it's not required. I totally disagree. It is required. These engines kick out so much oil. You don't want that going through the turbo, through the intercooler, through the throttle body, getting all over the sensors and everything. It's just going to make a mess of everything. Your intercooler is like the lowest point. It's just going to start filling up with oil, and then you put your foot down, and all that oil gets blown through, and you get a cloud of smoke out the back. No, I don't want that. Okay, so the catch can is there. It is actually sort of recirculating at the moment to do that. I've got the MOT next week, so you have to kind of do that really for emissions reasons. Really, you can't just dump out fumes out into the atmosphere. So okay, so that's the clutch. That's the big expenditure lately. I've mentioned about the cold starting, the glow plugs. I noticed actually Euro Car Parts are doing starter motors at the moment. They've got a sale on it. It's like 30% off. My starter motor motor is okay, but during the winter when I had the poor starting, a few people said your starter motor is, you know, it is struggling. It is turning over slower than it should do. Okay, so yeah, I might take advantage of that sale and get a Denso starter motor. I think it's normally about £250 and it's currently on offer at like 170 or something, so quite a discount there. Might get one. They also do a Lucas starter motor, but I used to own a Mini and I also had an MG, and all of the electrics in those cars were by Lucas. Never again. No thank you. So what else have I been looking at? So projects that I did last, well, this year, since Christmas, okay, since the last update. I did something on the bonnet switch, so down in here, somewhere in there, the alarm kept going off, okay, and it was the bonnet sort of switch. There's a switch underneath this catch, and you can disable it by putting a kind of paper clip in there. So if your alarm keeps going off, it's probably that. It's usually that switch rather than the doors. It's very quick and easy fix. I do need to actually put the proper switch in there. Okay, it's kind of not a great idea just having the bonnet sort of like out of the alarm circuits, really. So yeah, for insurance purposes, things like that, it is a security sort of feature which is meant to be working, really. So I need to finish that off and refit the new switch to that. I did a video on roof lights, okay, so not the light bar but these strobes here. So we've got the strobes and work lights at the back, and I've wired those in to, so I wired them through the bulkhead. Let me show you that first, okay. So I actually did a separate video on that, right there. So I wired them through over there, okay. So separate video on that, showing you exactly where to drill, and more importantly where it comes through in the car, okay, because there's a lot of things up there, a lot of fuse boxes and all that kind of stuff. You don't want to be drilling into the wrong place. The lights on the roof, so here we go. Hopefully the camera's going to explode. There you go. So I put in this nice little voltmeter thing there. That's great. It's a little bit bright in the dark, okay, so yeah, I kind of thought it would be. USB socket here, lighty up USB socket. Hopefully you can see that. And then we've got the switches here, so you've got the amber for the strobes, okay, so there's the strobes, nice big bright strobes, and work lights, green switch for work lights. So not much use at this time of year. In the winter they'll be really useful. I'm trying to reverse up on a dark lane in the wet and the stormy weather. And then the blue one here is enabler for the roof light bar, the 42-inch light bar. Okay, so let's have a look here. So yeah, so I'll talk more about these brackets in a moment, okay, but the brackets that I sell for the 42-inch light bar. Also did a video on the rear wiper motor. Okay, so that's up in here. The rear wiper stopped working and was sort of kind of wiping to like here and stopping. If yours does that or it doesn't work at all, be really careful, okay, because the motor in here's got a permanent 12-volt feed, and mine was actually sort of trying to run. There was a relay under the boot floor that was clicking, even with the car locked. Okay, so I have heard of the motors actually catching fire. So if your rear wiper is showing any sign of struggling, don't ignore that. Take the panel off, take the motor apart and clean it up. Really easy to do, actually. I did a full video on that. Key fob battery as well. I did a video on changing the key fob battery, and last night I uploaded a video on Lanagard. Okay, so Lanagard is a sort of oily, sort of waxy substance that they do something to sheep to get that out of them. I don't quite know what, but it comes from sheep, okay, and it smells of sheep. So if you like the smell of the countryside, then you'll love it. If you are from the city, you probably won't like the smell of it. But they get this sheep juice and then they kind of put it under the car. Well, I put it under the car. It comes in a sort of spray bottle. You spray it under the car, and there's also a really thick version called Motor Grease. Okay, so you paint that up in all the kind of hard to reach bits and the bits that are actually showing surface rust. It wasn't too bad under the car. I've applied the Lanagard, that was last October, and I went underneath there a couple of weeks back and it wasn't in too bad of a state. I just reapplied it in some areas. I also have done, I've done that wheel arch liner behind there, took that off, wasn't too bad behind there, Lanagarded that, and I've Lanagarded one of the two wheel arch, I think it was this one here. So I need to finish the job, okay, so I need to remove the other two wheel arch liners. I also need to remove the sill covers, okay, so it's not these things, they're actually attached to the door, it's actually that thing there. That is a famous rust concealing item, okay, so mud and water gets behind there and it gets kind of trapped and can rust the sills, okay, even though it's supposed to be a galvanized chassis. On a car like this that's like 14 years old, yeah, God knows what's lurking behind those. I'm going to take those off soon to get that all rust proof ready for winter. So I bought a new 3D printer about 6 months ago, the Ender 3 Pro, and it's an S1 Pro. It's the, well, it was the latest model. They've actually just brought out an even better one now called a K1, I think it is. But here's a quick picture of my printer, which has been running flat out lately. I'm printing in ABS, so I'm making things like these headlight rods. These are like replacement headlight rods that go here. Okay, so replace the plastic, the black ones that always snap. Okay, so I make those, loads of different colours available, every colour you want. Okay, so yeah, if you wanted in a particular colour and I haven't got it listed on the website, do shout. Same with any of my other parts. I mean, I use black ABS for most of these brackets and black polyurethane for these. Okay, so these are not strong enough in 3D print, and I've been filming a video lately where I got a 3D print one and I've got a polyurethane one, and I use these luggage scales and actually loaded up. Okay, so I loaded a bucket of water, it's about 15 kilograms on the polyurethane one, and it didn't break. So I've bought a bigger bucket and I'm going to fill that up, and I want to know what weight this can take before it snaps. This one is the 3D print one, okay, and that won't take as much. I don't know how much, okay, don't know yet. I'm going to break it, try and break both of these brackets just to compare them, okay. I've had a few requests lately for these in yellow. A guy in Norway wanted some in yellow. I've also made orange ones, and yesterday I took an order for from a lady who wanted some made in blue. So yeah, that's fine. I can do different colours, no problem at all. Let me know what colour you want and I'll let you know if I can do it. Okay, so the 3D printer that I use, I actually print on glass. So here's an example there. Quite a nice shiny surface there. The glass bed has a sort of grippy side, which gives you a kind of slightly, almost looks like carbon fibre, like a speckly kind of surface, or you get a real smooth surface on the smooth side of the glass. Okay, now ABS is hard enough to print without it warping. I've got an enclosure and I printed on glass, which is also challenging. But I've discovered a product recently called Layer Bed Weld. Okay, it's about 17 quid for a bottle on Amazon, and it is the best thing ever for 3D printing. Ever since I bought that, I haven't had a single print break away from the bed. I mean, in fact, they're stuck so hard. This one has just come out of the freezer, okay? So I actually had to put the glass bed and that in the freezer to kind of get it to break off, okay, because the glass and the plastic shrink at a different rate and eventually it comes free. Okay, so bed weld, here's a picture of the bottle, okay, so really good stuff. I've been making other parts, okay, so these are not for a Freelander 2, sorry. I've been making bits for other cars, okay, so all of these are for the Discovery 4, and there is a Discovery 4 grille, okay. So the Discovery 4, like the Freelander 2, has pre-facelift and facelift. Okay, so I did the pre-facelift first. This is the facelift grille. So these are the spotlight mounts. Okay, so exactly like I do for the Freelander 2, I do the spotlights, I do the strobes. All I did was kind of scale everything up really and make a sort of bigger version. Alright, so there's the spotlight mount. Okay, that's now on sale for the Discovery 4. There's the rear part, a little bit like the Freelander 2 one. That goes round the back like that. It's actually got top and bottom written on it. I need to make this a bit more visible because I had a guy the other day was looking at this, and even with his reading glasses he still couldn't see it. So yeah, so they've got the nice brass inserts there, the stainless bolts, solid ABS printed, no infill. Okay, so it's 100% infill. It's like diagonally opposing kind of layers built up, so it's really, really strong. The rating on these brackets, I sort of say, you know, like a 1 kilo spotlight or a 2 kilo light bar. The brackets will take a lot more than that, much more. The weak point is the grill. Okay, so it probably won't snap, but it will just start flexing. Your spotlights are going to be kind of vibrating around. So if you are going to fit real heavy spotlights, then you might want to consider some sort of steady bar at the top to stop things wobbling around. These are the strobe ones. So it takes these 12 LED strobe lights. This bracket here, this is actually a Discovery 2 bracket, so that's goes on a Discovery 2 grill, and that just sort of clips in, sort of snaps into a Discovery 2 grill. They're being tested at the moment, not quite ready for sale yet. These are also being beta tested, so these are the Discovery 4 facelift strobe ones. Use the same rear part, same bolts, and take a 12 LED strobe lamp like that. Okay, so I've got a couple of guys testing these parts as we speak. So that is the D4 and the D2 parts. Other bits that I've 3D printed. I've made some little mounts. Just you can't really see them at all actually. There you go. There's some mounts for my solar panel. This is my little solar panel. This was kind of flying around loose in the boot, but I've made some little mounts here, which they hook into the air vent. That's actually the vent where the air gets out of the car. Okay, so it comes down, it comes out. Some flap things behind the rear lights. If you have a solar panel like that and you'd like some of those mounts, let me know. I wasn't going to put them for sale on my website because so few people are going to want those, so do shout if you want to try some of those. So projects coming up. Okay, the Haldex. I think I said it would be my celebratory project for reaching 4,000 subscribers maybe, or 3,000, I can't remember. The winch I think might have been 2,000, and the Haldex I think was 3,000. That was a long time ago, and I haven't done it yet. Apologies. I'm now at about 5,200 subscribers, maybe more, and that's brilliant. I passed 1 million views on the channel and past 5,000 subscribers a few months back. Thank you very much to all of you who have subscribed and supported me on this channel. Really good to see. And yeah, I need to kind of I need to do these projects that I say I'm going to do. Okay, it's no good me going like, oh yeah, subscribe to my channel, I'll do a video on the Haldex, and then not do it. Okay, and it does bother me. I do need to get these things done. Just not enough hours in the day. I've actually had some pretty stroppy comments from people going, oh, you know, you put up this Haldex teaser video and you haven't even done the project. You know, it's obviously just clickbait or something like that. It's not clickbait. I just get a bit overexcited. I buy a second-hand Haldex. I think, yeah, I'll do a project. Yeah, let's do a teaser video. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do diff lock switches. I'm going to service the Haldex. I'm going to take it off the car and strip it down and find out how it works. And then 2 years later, I still haven't done it, okay, because I've been busy with all these other things. But it is on the list. It is on the list. It will be done probably, hopefully this autumn sometime. What else? So, tyre pressure monitoring system. So I've been buying some bits. I have a bad habit of having a glass or two of wine and then going on eBay and Amazon and just buying stuff that looks good, really. I don't know if I'm ever going to use it. So here we have tyre pressure monitoring system of some sort. Don't know. Oh, there's a picture. That saved me getting the thing out. That's what it looks like. So some sort of digital readout. It's actually solar powered as well. That's good. Don't even need to wire it in. And then you screw these things onto the dust caps on the wheels, or instead of the dust caps. So that is a tyre monitoring system. Kitty's going to help me fit that in very soon, in a video coming very soon. Other things, so this is Mr. Car Tool, okay, and this is an inclinometer. It's more than that. It's like a triple gauge kind of thing. I'm not going to power it up here. I'm not even going to film the video here, because one of the things it does is it gives your grid reference of exactly where you are. Just in the interest of security, I don't really want to give away my home location, you know, where my car is parked every night. So what I will do is go somewhere else, and then I'll fire that up and we'll see what it does. Other things, brake hoses. So I bought these. Let's see if we can get this open with one hand. This is going to be tricky to do. Right, come on, let's get the box open. Right, so these are Goodridge, okay. I always thought it was Goodrich, the people that make the tyres. BF Goodrich. And apparently there's a Goodridge. How confusing is that? So Goodridge make the hoses. I thought it was made by the same company. So I've gone for these lovely braided, stainless braided hoses, okay. I did buy, a couple of years back, I bought some hoses from Go Braided or somebody like that. They were Hell hoses. Hell, okay, H-E-L. I didn't fit them. I was going to fit them. I did try to fit them. They leaked. I then got some different ones, and I never got around to fitting them because I heard a bad story of someone else who fitted some Hell hoses, and he was down a lane, a Range Rover came the other way, he had to stamp on the brakes, and one of the hoses it popped off, it exploded, split, I don't know, it came off, this bit basically came off from the end piece, and his brakes failed, he ended up in a ditch. That really put me off fitting Hell hoses. Okay, can't have that kind of thing happening. So I've been recommended Goodrich. Okay, so I'm going to be fitting those very soon. The brake hoses are meant to be changed every 10 years, regardless of mileage, because the rubber can perish. So my car's 14 years old. Okay, so I will be doing that very soon. And also, one of the other things that I've been buying is a triple gauge pod. Okay, so this is going to go in the middle here, where this, what looks like a speaker grill is, but it's not. There's nothing underneath there unless you've got the really posh sound system. Okay, so that's going to go there. You can get these sort of slightly shallower kind of triple gauge things, which I have seen some people have fitted. This is a much deeper one. It occupies more of this thing. It covers up that whole kind of grill thing. So what I'm going to do is cut all of that out and fit that on somehow, and then that's going to take 3 52mm gauges. Okay, which gauges am I going to fit? I'm not too sure. Okay, so I have bought a couple of gauges. My neighbour is dragging bins about at the moment, so I'm going to get back in the car. It's slightly quieter and you can hear me. So this is a Pro Sport gauge. I don't know if you can see that. It's one of these ones that's like really black, and then it all kind of lights up, and it's like stepper motor type. Yeah, stepper motor there. So it sort of looks completely like smoked glass, and then suddenly, being it all lights up, and the needle sort of goes and comes back. This one I can't remember what I bought. I bought these so long ago. It says there on the coat, it says bar, so I'm guessing the picture actually shows that's a label actually, so they put a different picture on depending on what you've bought. So this is a boost gauge. Okay, so it's got a negative as well as positive boost. On a diesel, probably won't get much vacuum. So yeah, but I thought I'd go for one that showed a bit of negative, just in case there is a bit of vacuum built up. The throttle body isn't a real throttle body. Okay, so there's that. I also bought a voltmeter. Don't really need a voltmeter now because I fitted this voltmeter up here. And I've also bought an oil pressure gauge. Okay, so oil pressure, which is very important. Probably the most important gauge in the whole car, on the whole dashboard, oil pressure. And of course, not many modern cars have oil pressure. It's just not considered a gauge that you need anymore. But we all know if the oil pressure drops, bad things happen. Okay, so might swap out the voltmeter for an oil temperature gauge, maybe. I mean, I've got water temperature, although this gauge is just a bit rubbish, really. It just goes halfway and sits there. So could have a proper temperature gauge for either oil or water. Yeah. So yeah, I'll work out what I'm doing with that at some point. Right, let's quickly carry on here because time is getting on. So roof rack. A lot of you asked me where I got this roof rack. Okay, so this was bought on eBay from a seller called what were they called? Expedition Racks. Okay, on eBay, and I don't think they trade anymore. Okay, I don't think they're trading. I've not seen that particular roof rack on sale on eBay for a little while. Okay, so if there are other sellers selling similar roof racks. Okay, when I was at Bewley and Gaydon, I sort of kitted the roof rack out with jerry cans, my front runner box, which is here somewhere, front runner box, which has got all my recovery gear in. I've got a spade as well, and I also put the spare tyre up there with a front runner sort of spare tyre kind of clampy thing with a ratchet strap on it, and I think it looked really good. The advantage of putting all that stuff up there is it allowed me to then put my tools and parts under the boot floor, and then had the entire boot empty for luggage. So when I went camping to Cornwall, it was really good because all the camping gear could then go in the boot. Okay, so just on the subject of this spade here, bought these nice rubber mounts at the Peterborough show last year. They're really good, and I've 3D printed these little kind of standoff mount things here, because the spade, I want to put the spade kind of, it fits perfectly between these front strobes here. The problem is if I put those rubber things straight onto that wind deflector, then the spade kind of hits it. So if I just stand these off by 10mm with these, then so that kind of goes in like that. There you go. So that's what it's like. And then there's a little screw hole through there, and that can take the spade. The front runner box is held on by some sort of claspy things, and they're designed to go on a front runner roof rack. So what I did is I recently enrolled at an evening class at the local technical college to learn how to weld. As you can see, some more lessons may be required. I took these brackets along, so this half is the proper front runner half, and then I've welded on that bit there. I made a bit of a pig's ear of that, really. It all kind of like caught fire while I was welding it. All the paint burnt off. I did grind the paint off where I needed to weld, but the whole thing got so hot it just basically had flames coming off it. So I then needed to put them on the roof, and I completely didn't get round to painting them, so they went rusty. So what I need to do is get the wire brush, probably a wire brush in a drill or in a like angle grinder, totally scrub those back to bare metal, grind my welds to neaten them up, and then prime, some zinc primer, and spray with some nice black paint. And then the idea here is that I can then drill another hole and stick a kind of like a U-bolt thing there to go round these bars. Okay, so it'd be on the other side, but it goes as 16mm U-bolt, stainless steel U-bolt, okay, round those bars. I'll do a video in a few weeks' time. I'm going to be putting all the gear on the roof again. I'll try and do a quick video on that when I come to do that. So let's turn the page. What have we got? I mentioned about the welding, I mentioned about the spade mount. I noticed actually when I opened the bonnet here that I've still got water sitting here. Okay, so there are some little scuttle drain holes there. I did a part 1 video showing where the holes are, but I didn't do the follow-up video showing actually kind of where that actually goes to and finds its way out under the car. We'll do that soon. When this wheel arch is off next, I'll take the scuttle off and we can actually see the proper routing of that water, or not, as the case may be. Okay, I think my holes there have got blocked up with some mud or something. So that's scuttle drain hole part 2 will be coming soon. I'll also do a video on the coolant routing. So part of the Webasto, there's going to be you know, a lot of coolant hose work. I'll do a separate video just explaining about the entire cooling system. What else? In no particular order here, carrying on. Throttle body, okay, so down in here, here's the throttle body. We call it the throttle body. It's actually an air control valve. It doesn't really kind of like turn like a petrol engine throttle body. It's there to close and shut the air off when you shut the engine down. Okay, so the rest of the time it's fully open. I was very surprised to hear this, okay, and somebody said, you know, that throttle body doesn't actually do anything while you're driving. It's a diesel engine. Its speed is controlled by the fuel going in. I didn't really believe them, but doing a bit of research, no, they are right. It is just wide open for when the engine's on, and you hear it when you shut the engine down. You hear this sort of bzzz, and if your throttle body gears are worn, like often happens, then you get this kind of scratching noise. Okay, so if there's a noise ever like some sort of rat gnawing on the front of the engine, it's the gears stripping. Okay, so gears last about 50 to 60,000 miles. That's my second throttle body, but later ones, and especially the replacement ones, they have stronger gears in. Okay, so that one's actually done, oh, I don't know, probably, yeah, well over 100,000 miles. I think it was around 60,000 miles that the first one gave up. So what I'm going to do, really interesting video, I'm going to buy another throttle body, connect all the sensors and the connections up to the second one, and just leave it just loose, obviously sort of secured somehow, but just leave it like not with the hose going through it. And then I'll put the GoPro filming inside it, and then I'll go for a drive, and we'll actually see that butterfly moving or not, and we'll know for sure then when does the butterfly move, at what angle, and everything else. The car will drive because the intercooler hose is then still connected to the real one going into the engine. The temperature sensors and things can be on the real one, but it's more just the motor, the connection that actually drives the motor. Put that on the fake one as such, so that we can then kind of film that operating. So I'll do that. I will make a relay box at some point, put all these I've got various relays and things here for the air horn. When I came to wire the air horn in, I couldn't find the wire. I couldn't even find the old horns. They're actually in the cross member, right? So when I removed that for the winch, got to those horns and actually found the wire, which is down here somewhere. Okay, so when I did my winch video, I actually showed where that was. So if you want to find your horn wire, it's down here somewhere. It's not over here, it's none of these wires here. It's down there, and it's got some of this It's some of this kind of concertina-y stuff around it, but it's like, it looks like this. Okay, looks like this. It's a small conduit with 2 wires in. The relay, the factory relay, has got a diode in it. Okay, because it's a FET controlled, field effect transistor controlled relay. Okay, so you can't just sort of take the trigger. Well, you can take the trigger to a new relay, but you've got to wire it up in a certain way, and you've got to get a relay with diode in. Otherwise, your back EMF, as they call it, the voltage spike when that relay ion moves back against the electromagnet could fry the ECU. I've heard of that happening. Okay, so just be really careful with those FET-driven relays. Somebody said to me, like, oh my god, you know, you've turned this project into a complete nightmare. Why didn't you just connect your regular horn wire to the compressor? Well, yeah, I could have done that. That's what I wanted to do. I couldn't find it. I didn't know where the wire was. I didn't want to start ripping out the fuse box, disturbing all those fuses and wiring connections and spade terminals that go with that. That's just asking for trouble. Because I didn't know where the wire was, I had no choice but to do it a different way with my own relay, taking the relay trigger, and then that is sort of an active low kind of trigger line. Okay, so there's a video on that. But what I might do, now that I've actually found the proper wire, is do a part 2, a rewire. Okay, so not a reboot, but a rewire. Air horn the sequel. Okay, so I will film that. The air horns here on the bracket here. If you want one of these brackets, then they're available on my website. They are made of polyurethane. Okay, so I make those in a silicone mold. The reason they're not 3D printed is because there's a lot of heat under the engine. All right, so even ABS, 3D printed ABS, may warp. Okay, I don't know. I tried PLA and it didn't last very long, and also the 3D print also had a habit of cracking here. Okay, so the polyurethane just is, it's just better. It can take the heat, and that's a lot stronger. Okay, so a little bit like the oh, Kitty, what are you up to? What is she? Kitty, right? Bit like the polyurethane and the 3D print there. Some parts better off in polyurethane. This is my airbox adapter. That's also cast in polyurethane. Looks 3D printed. The original part, the original design is 3D printed, and I then made a mould and cast that. Okay, because that's down, goes down here. It's not fitted at the moment, but I'm fitting that down there. A lot of heat around there, probably over 100 degrees. ABS, I think, could take 110 degrees, something like that. I'm not sure, but I did actually talk with somebody on Instagram the other day who was trying to make their own. I don't know what they printed it. It looked like they printed it in PLA. It was like really thin. I just said, I've been through the process. It's not going to work. I've spent years developing these parts. For 20 quid, you can buy one of those. He wasn't happy. He said, no, it's fine. I will make my own parts. Okay, that's fine. Nothing wrong with having a go at it. You know, that's what I've done. Just trying to save you the pain of that development cycle. Getting it wrong time after time after time. Trial and error, trial and error. I've been through that. Okay, so I can save you a bit of time. So, okay. Talked about brake hoses. Talked about relays, talked about air horns. Might fit a light under here. I've got like a kind of like 12-volt gooseneck light, which I just think would be really cool. It could sit here, and you know, it's not going to interfere with anything. Probably with a little clip, so it doesn't kind of get tangled in the fan. And then I can sort of turn on a bonnet light and actually point it at whatever I'm working on. I mean, how brilliant would that be? Also going to fit some lights in the boot as well. Probably going to try and chuck some kind of downlighter type things up in here or here. Not totally sure exactly where. The exposure is really not going to work, is it? Yeah, sort of kind of like here, shining down, so light up the boot. That would be nice. I mean, my work lights actually in the dark, when you turn them on, they actually kind of shine sort of through the glass, and it's like a skylight. That's not really what they were designed for. So right, what is next on my list? I've talked about roof brackets, washer funnel caps. These are the Skoda funnel caps that pop into a funnel. They're brilliant. Close them up, they fit the Freelander 2. They also fit a Toyota Hilux, believe it or not. One of my 4x4 responder chums fitted one of these to his Hilux, and it fitted his as well. So Skoda, your parts fit other cars. Really good. Every now and then I buy a job lot of those, get them shipped in from Skoda in Europe, and then I sell them on my website. Out of stock at the moment. Yeah, I'll get some more in at some point, but if you're really desperate for one, just go on eBay, look for Skoda washer cap and you'll find it. Okay, intercoolers. Right, intercoolers. This is going to be a project for the autumn. This small one is a Freelander 2 intercooler, and I was told that the Ford Focus ST intercooler was like the same kind of hose outlets and inlet, but was like bigger and would fit on a Freelander 2. Brilliant, I thought. So I bought one on eBay, and one just like this turned up, exactly the same as the Freelander 2. The only difference was it had like a hole where a sensor goes. So I thought, what's going on here? It looks exactly the same. I even sort of measured the capacity with some water, and it was kind of like the same capacity and everything. It then turned out that the intercooler for the ST, the bigger one, is later Ford Focus STs, the 2017 onwards. I think I bought a 2014 or 15. So I then worked out that the Ford Focus RS, probably Mark III, I think it is, or something like that. You've got to be a bit careful you buy the right one, because there's been loads of different Ford Focuses. But the RS Focus intercooler is the same as the later ST one, and this is it. This is it. So it's got 11 kind of rows on it instead of 10, and it's also it's just a lot thicker. Okay, so it's taller, thicker, but the hose, these hoses actually look like they stick up a little bit further, but they're the same size, I think. Don't know, they look the same size. The brackets are very similar. So could that be made to fit a Freelander 2? Well, the answer is yes. I've actually seen pictures of somebody who's done that. Okay, so there's a guy in Wales, and he fitted one of these and has got it working. Okay, so he had to sort of fabricate some brackets for it. So I'm going to have a go at fitting that to mine. Now I've got a winch tray. I've got the winch. Okay, so I've got the Muddy Mods winch tray, which I think is going to actually stop me from fitting that, because the idea is when you fit the bigger intercooler, it has to stick up behind the cross member, which you can do on a standard Freelander 2. I don't have that cross member anymore. I've removed mine and fitted a winch tray instead. So yeah, be interesting project. Other things I've got on the list, I'm going to fit a second recovery point. Okay, so around the back here somewhere we've got this sort of towing eye. Okay, or recovery point as they call it, and on the other side there isn't one, but you can actually fit one of those on this side as well. You have to cut a little hole in the plastic sort of valance. The bolt holes are already there. If you've got a tow bar, it may not be possible. Okay, certainly the Land Rover sort of factory tow bar, or Land Rover branded tow bar, uses the same mounting points. Okay, so you can't fit one of those if you've got the tow bar, unless you do some fabrication and modification. Okay, I don't have a tow bar. I've bought one of these standard recovery points, and I'm going to fit that on the other side. Okay, I'm going to do that very soon. And that brings me on to my last project in the pipeline, and that is lift spacers. Okay, I get more emails about lift spacers than anything else. Okay, so I fitted my original lift spacers on the back. I need to fit the new design on the front and replace the thinner ones on the back with the later thicker ones. Okay, so lift spacers, I've been messing around with lift spacers for years. Powerful UK fitted some. They did a 3-part video, a very, very good video series on that. They had some really successful results with their lift spacers. They went off-road and basically said it was the best mod they'd ever done to their Freelander 2. Excellent video. I just kind of need to do my own video on that. I also need to make the next batch of spacers. The last batch was around Christmas, so December last year. I made a big load and they sold out in about half an hour. Okay, so there's a lot of demand. I will be doing another batch soon. It may be the last batch ever. I don't know. I really want to be making other things, really. The lift spacers, I don't have a workshop, you see, and it's very difficult making that kind of thing at home when you haven't got a place where you can actually do it. I'm having to do it on the kitchen worktop at home, and it's just not good, really, doing, you know, mixing chemicals and pouring resins and that on the same work surface that my wife cooks dinner on. I don't want to be doing that. Okay, but I do understand that a lot of you are really desperate to get your hands on a set of lift spacers. Okay, so I'm going to make another batch, but I'm not going to sell any of them until I fitted them to my own car. Okay, because I want to do a video. I've had a couple of people recently. There was a guy in Czech Republic or somewhere who had some difficulties fitting them. I think it was the front ones. He had some problems fitting them, getting the bolts lined up. So I want to know for sure that they definitely work. Okay, now I've fitted them to like a top plate, a genuine Land Rover top plate, and everything lined up perfectly, but we all know that when you actually come to put it on the car, things can be a bit different. Okay, so I'm going to be making some soon, fitting them to my own car, and yeah, if it works, then I'll make a load more and sell them. If it doesn't work, that's it. I'm just not gonna make any of those anymore. It's just too much trouble. Okay, so that is it. July, midsummer channel update. Okay, the next channel update will probably be January. Okay, I'll try and do a New Year's broadcast, like I did last year. One idea I've had is to do a sort of vlog. I know Powerful UK do regular vlog videos. If you'd like me to do that, then I can do. If you want to wait till January, then that's fine as well. Let me know. Leave a comment below. Let me know, would you like to see kind of regular videos like this? Okay, just me sort of summarising all the things I've been working on and latest product developments and things like that. I will be posting regular posts on Instagram, and that is linked to my Facebook. There's a new thing called Threads, okay, which is sort of like Twitter, I think, but Mark Zuckerberg. I've posted one post on Threads, so I don't really know how to use it. I don't really use Twitter. I think it's now called X, actually. It's been rebranded. Twitter's for Donald Trump and people like that. I want to post pictures, you see. I want to post pictures, so that's why I use Instagram. All of the things I'm working on, all the jobs and projects and that, I regularly put up pictures, probably 3 or 4 pictures a week, maybe more. Okay, so they go up and get really good feedback, lots of likes and thumbs up and all that kind of thing. Okay, and that's really good, really nice to receive. I love all the positive comments. I don't like the negative comments, but I try to ignore those. But all of the amazing feedback that I get, and I get people emailing me and messaging me saying, you know, keep going, I love your videos, you know, your Freelander's looking brilliant, and yeah, really, really nice. Thank you very much for all of you who are supporting my channel and helping me do these videos. As a little sort of giving something back, I'm currently doing free UK postage on my all my products, all orders on my website. Free postage in the UK. I can't extend it to worldwide, I'm afraid. But any UK order, big or small, I'll pay the postage. Okay, so yeah, you know, that's great. It's all good. Hopefully this year might even make a profit. You never know. you never know. Made about a £3 loss last year, £4 loss the year before that. I'm not going to put up any financials on this video. Yeah, maybe in January I'll let you know how the year went. And yeah, you know, one day, might even better actually do this properly and make a living out of it. But in the meantime, still got the day job in IT, and this is a hobby, and I will do my best to give it as much time and effort as I can. Obviously, family commitments and 4x4 responding events and all that kind of thing get in the way. The summer is great time for working on the car, but it's also holiday season and everything like that. Okay, so it is difficult finding the time. That is the biggest challenge I find. Okay, but I will try. Okay, I will do my best. And yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for watching. I can feel raindrops, so I'm going to stop filming, and I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you very much. Bye.